You're listening to Prosper in the Kingdom, the podcast where faith meets practical strategies to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Join hosts John Cleaver and Wendy Lee as they share insights to equip you in your journey toward abundance, spiritually, financially, and beyond. Just a reminder, every situation is unique. The content of this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as specific financial or medical advice.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Prosper in the Kingdom, and I have a very special guest today. John got caught in travel, canceled flights, delayed flights, missed connections, all the things. So I thought it would be a fun opportunity to have my friend Mindy Baxon with us today.
Thank you, Wendy. So
good to have you here.
Yeah,
and I have to say, one thing I love about you, Mindy, is you call me Wen.
Thank you, Wendy Lee. I know. Sorry, not so professional. I love you, girl.
No, I love it because growing up, my family, like in the Northeast, if your name is more than one syllable, you only get one syllable.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm Wendy. So I'm Wen up north.
Yeah.
But if your name is one syllable, like Don, or no, I'm trying to think who's one syllable in my family. Sloan, my daughter. Yeah. Then you add an E at the end, Sloanie.
Right? And then you rhyme it with macaroni. It's funny that you mentioned that because all of that is very accurate.
Right?
That's so funny. Yeah.
So, but yeah, my cousin Dominic, who's 3 syllables, he just gets Dom.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's how we roll.
So, but I love it. I'm like, I feel like I'm home when you call me Wen.
I'm so glad. There
we go. But anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is money, making money, and what you do with it as a network marketer. So you and I would love for you to tell a little bit of your story, but you and I have both been in the network marketing space, direct sales space for a while.
Yeah.
And we've both had decent success, made full-time income, right? Mm-hmm. And I always say this, we're taught how to make money, but not necessarily what to do with the money we make. Right?
Accurate statement. Yeah. Very much so.
And a lot of us just have to learn the hard way.
Yeah. Many lessons have been learned through this journey. And it has been such a blessing. You know, I think about just, the grand scheme of things. I worked a 9-to-5 for many, many years and, in the insurance and financial services industry, actually. And I started out in network marketing 2015, went into social selling in 2018. And it's the only place that I could really think of that I could make a larger impact and a larger income at the same time. And that's what I did. But to your point, yes, we can make a substantial amount of money. And my first year, I doubled my full-time income. And then the year after that, I did build a 6-figure business, which is still wild to think about. But I spent that money, girl. Wow, when you're making $10,000 to $12,000 to $15,000 a month and no one prepares you for that. I mean, I guess I say that in it's hard getting the words out because how are they supposed to prepare you for that in a sense? It was not expected, I guess. And it just went boom, like some businesses do. And I guess that's why you're here, right? To kind of help educate people with, if and when that does happen and God willing, there's favor and blessing on your business and that happens, boy, making good decisions. Hindsight, wish I knew better.
Yeah. So my journey was I started network marketing, had the full-time job and, made not quite 6 figures in my full-time gig, started network marketing, saw what was possible. I saw some girl on stage who was like me, right? My age, mom, worked full-time. She actually made 6 figures in her full-time gig. And she says, and I also make 6 figures in this side hustle, network marketing gig. And I was like, what? Right? Like if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And so I saw her and that was my story that I clung on to. And thank God, because 3 months later, I got laid off and it was my second layoff in a row. And so I was like, all right, let's dig in. Let's do this. And so by my, about a year and a half in, I surpassed my full-time income. And then I hit 6 figures, like 2.5 years in. Mm-hmm. And then I knew nothing about nothing, right? I'd come from that corporate gig where they take your taxes out and, this idea like, oh, all this stuff is now a tax write-off. I have all these tax write-offs, right?
Right.
And I remember, I'll never forget the first time taking my stuff to an accountant and saying, hey, I need to get my taxes done, because I'd always done it on TurboTax myself with my W-2s, right? And then I go in and I give her all my stuff, and I had saved, I think, like 10 grand for taxes.
She's like, by the way, take that times 5.
Yeah, she came back. And because I didn't have an S Corp set up, I didn't know anything.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So she says, okay, so like very casually, so here's your taxes, here's what you owe. And I look, and it was like $45,000. And I was like sick to my stomach. I'm like, what? I'm like, what about tax write-offs? What about my kids? Like, what about this? I don't really get a tax return. She's like, yeah, but you made money and you didn't pay any taxes in. Anyway, I remember that was my first like, holy crap moment.
Yeah.
And kind of like, how come nobody told me this? And then one of my mentors in the business is like, oh yeah, I owe the government like $350,000. And send you my girl who helps me with payments and all that. And I was like, what? And this was somebody who was making 6 figures a month, and she was behind in taxes. So it's like, there was not any education. There was not even an example of somebody in my circle doing it right.
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm just like, and it wasn't just the taxes, right? I think I also was modeled like, because our income we were in a momentum phase in the company I was in. I kind of got in at the right time. And so it's like going like this. And so I'm like, oh, every year I'm going to make more money, right? So what happens, Mindy, when your income keeps going up?
You just keep spending more. You keep up with your income. Like, tip number 1, don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. I just $600 car payment. Sure. Add that on there, and just kept adding and adding. And then the incomes shifted.
The pendulum swung, as we like to say. That pendulum swung back, did it? Yeah.
It did. Yeah. It did. Have you ever had that happen in business, Mindy?
Always, babe. And you know what's crazy? And again, as we journey, I'm so sorry. I have a flyaway that is literally in my peripheral. Anyway, as we continue on this journey, I think that, we, again, without the mentorship and without, especially what you guys are teaching right now. And I love that you give, especially the network marketing folks, the opportunity to learn, because when we know better, we do better.
Yes.
But to understand that in business, these things are cyclical, right? You have seasons of momentum where that pendulum swings and that wave is there, and you catch that wave and you ride that sucker as far and as long as you can, right? Momentum's a great thing, but understanding that wave breaks and that the waters smooth out again for a while. And it sometimes takes a while before that next wave comes. So you have got to be smart and proactive, with your finances. And again, on the tax side of things, understanding what the S Corp is, the LLC designation. The biggest, I will just say this, I think the best decision that I made ever was hiring a bookkeeper and accountant right out of the gates.
Yes.
Finding somebody that I'm like, I don't do well with this part. Can you just take it and like, let me know if you have questions? And she's been a godsend for me, because she helped me set up my S Corp LLC designation, start paying myself, start paying my daughter. So anyway, not to get into all of that, but
yeah. No, there's so many ways that, you need the professionals, right? The bottom line is we get in, and if you're in network marketing, and I think it's twofold. Like if you're in network marketing, direct sales, social selling, whatever you want to call it, affiliate marketing, digital marketing. If you have a business, if you're a solopreneur and you have like kind of this uncapped income potential, I think, to set yourself up for more abundance and more growth in the future, you should get that financial team in place. Yeah. And if you're already there, getting that financial team in place, like on both ends of it, and whether you're at the beginning or you're like dead in the middle of it, I think it's important, because when you have that team set up, and I think that it needs to include, like you said, a bookkeeper that does the day-to-day. Yep. You need an accountant that does your taxes, or a tax strategist, right, to help you with your taxes. And then a financial coach or planner. And that's what John and I do, to say, okay, where can you put the money to, because one thing we don't think about as network marketers, right? Typically coming from the corporate world, you got the 401k set up. You think you're good. You're like, oh yeah, I got my little investments or whatever. Which, you know,
I was like, that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole other conversation.
I know.
But as network marketers, right, we don't have anyone like putting money away in a retirement. And I had that mentality of, oh, this is my retirement plan, right? Like I'm going to build residual income that's going to pay me the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I remember a couple of financial advisors kind of laughing at me. And then now in the position I'm in now, and having seen how the ebbs and flows and kind of the financial trouble I got myself into, I'm like, okay, there is a better way. And that's how I even got involved in working with John, is because he did a financial plan for me and opened my eyes to, oh, I can take this money from my business each month, put it over here in a non-traditional retirement. We call it a wealth account because you can access it before retirement, this non-traditional account. And I can watch my money grow. I can borrow from it if I need to, but then in my retirement years, right, whatever that looks like, I get to pull from that account tax-free.
Yeah.
And have, I mean, lifetime income. I mean, we have things we set up as lifetime income, and it's stuff that I had no idea. So having those people in place is so important. And I think too, the distinction, and I'll have you talk to this a little bit, the distinction between your paycheck, right, like what the company gives you, and your income. Was there a time that you treated that the same that you don't now?
Oh, very much so. Again, so many lessons learned. What's interesting too, just this shift over the last several years, just coming to, I guess, an agreement in my life, like success is different for everyone. Yeah. These are my favorite quotes. Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world. That book rocked my world and changed my life. He says, success is different. Oh my gosh.
It sits right next to me every day.
Yeah. Right. Success is different for everyone, but failure is the same. Failure is man's inability to reach his goals, whatever that may be. And so I've redefined success in my life, where, hitting ranks and making all this money and whatever, I'm not fancy. I live in North Dakota. I drive a Honda. Okay. I don't really care. I'm not materialistic really, and teach their own. What if that floats your boat? Good for you. But like success to me is very low stress. It's me getting to kind of do what I want during the day when I want and hang out with a dog, like that's kind of my best little buddy over here, and make my kids whatever they want for breakfast in the morning, because I'm not rushing out the door to have to get to work, or, having to hustle and grind. And like that has shifted so much for me. And so back to your point about the income piece, regardless of, and I'm in a rebuilding phase right now. So I'm building again, but if God's favors on this business and I start pulling in, 5 figures a month again, like I was, I'm still going to live off of half of that. I'm still going to live off of my paycheck, so to say, and be very mindful of those dollars, because I understand that, when you're good with little, he blesses you with much. But I also have learned the lesson that when you're blessed with much and you're not very good with it, again, lessons are learned. And I like, my hope is too, if this is whoever this is reaching today, that they can just learn from us. Although sometimes we got to learn our own lessons. Like somebody maybe could have told me this a while ago. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I would.
Good. And the big difference, I think, is we've got to create that differentiation in our mind, that our commission check from our network marketing company or whatever it is, right? Or any streams of income you have coming in as a 1099, that is not your income. That's your revenue. Right. Oh, yeah. And creating that distinction. This is my revenue, right? So the way, we have our network marketing team set up is revenue goes into the business bank account. And then there is a salary paid out that's consistent.
Yep.
And then if we need or want above and beyond that, we do an owner's draw based on what's in there, what the needs are, and things like that. But there's a consistent paycheck coming out. And what happens with that, when you learn to budget, right, or create a spending plan, as we like to call it, you create a spending plan and you say, this is what I'm pulling to live my life.
Yep.
Or if you're in the beginning, right, this is my bonus money that I'm paying myself each month. Let that money grow in the account, right? So that when you do have those dips, you don't have to change what you pay yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest challenge I've seen in my history of network marketing, especially when people depend on that money, is that the ebbs and flows of it, kind of like realtors too. Realtors can take this advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That you get paid, your income's inconsistent. But really, we should say our revenue is inconsistent. We should create an income that is consistent.
That's good. Yeah, that's true.
And just making that little distinction and that shift in the way that we operate can change everything.
Yeah, big time.
So
yeah, that's really, really good.
Yeah. And then, a couple of the other things I just want to point to real quick as we're talking about this is, accounting for expenses. What does it actually cost to run your business? A lot of times, in network marketing, especially in the beginning, right? They all have those pay cards that we get. And, I remember, I don't know why it was this specific company, Unique. I remember for some reason they would all be, I don't know if they had a pretty pay card or something, but I remember always seeing Unique bought my coffee today. Unique bought this today. Like, I just remember seeing that. And this is years ago. This is probably 8 years ago. And, but that mentality of it's loaded on the card, I swipe, and that was like my extra money. But there's like, literally when you're doing that, there's no control over what's your business expense. Are you saving for taxes, right? Now, the cool thing about a business like this is it could actually save you on taxes if you're not making a ton, because you can write off things. But anyway, just being really intentional I tell everyone, do not put your money on that pay card. Put it in a bank account.
Yes.
Budget your business and pay yourself.
A separate bank account. I think that was another thing that I did really well out of the gates was I was like, I have a business checking, I have a business savings account, and all of my business stuff like went through there. Yeah. So that was huge. And my accountant bookkeeper lady, she's one of the same. I lucked out. But she was grateful that I didn't have all of my expenses messed up with my personal. So just that simple strategy right there. Or again, if you do need to use a business credit card for some time, that's another thing. I would have changed a lot of how I did things. I thought, put it through the card because I'm getting points and found myself in a little bit of a situation, if you will. I was like, wow, I don't know that I can pay this off this month. And that's when to your point, it's like, having that set paycheck, that set income as opposed to revenue, thinking of those two things separately, I think is really important. And trying to operate, putting your business hat on and trying to operate your business like a business. Yeah. That's one thing too. I think that gets a little skewy or screwy in our heads when we're like, we're just making money, having fun. And, and we're selling product online and whatever. It's like, but we're business owners. Yeah. Screw your head on, get a book, tap into this podcast, like learn from people and make some educated decisions, because otherwise, it can cost you.
Yeah. It's cost me. I will tell you, I've been pretty vulnerable about my whole owing the IRS way too much money because 2 years in a row I got behind, and it was super stressful. And then, the ebbs and flows in business and not having this set up. And now it's awesome because we're doing really well and doing it right.
Yeah. Feels
and
good,
there's so much peace in it, and just to know, like, this is what I'm getting paid. And at the same time, when we have big months and when we have big, revenue coming in, it's like exciting to go, okay, in 3 months, when we take a look at that, like, what are we going to do with that? Right.
Yeah.
According, with taxes and stuff, it's like not something we want to leave in the account after the year. So we can pay ourselves bonuses at the end of the year. We can invest it. Like, there's all these different things we can do. And it's just so empowering. And John and I talk about this a lot, but if you don't tell your money what to do, it's going to do what it does best. And that's run away from you.
Yeah. So that's really a good point. It's very true. And I think there's something to, again, when I found myself having a little come to Jesus with myself over my situation and some credit card debt that I had accrued and having to tell my husband, which he didn't know anything. Oh, God help me. Anyway, but here's what happened. When I needed to face it head on, as scary as that was, there became kind of like I don't know, how do you want to say that? Like, it shifted me into a little power position, no, I control this. I have control over this now. And again, as much as I didn't want to acknowledge, and I just kind of like pushed it aside. And I coached you guys. I'm a strategy coach for a really incredible trainer in the online social selling space. And I talk to women all the time who are like thousands of dollars in debt. And it's massive inventory they're buying and all of this heaviness. And the Lord does not want us to live like this. That's not what we're called to live like at all. And so my encouragement has always been to them. I know this is a difficult conversation. It sucks, but the reality is you're in the situation. You need to do something about it. Face it head on. Talk to your husband, and get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off. Because when you do, it's like, okay, what's our strategy here? Do we need to take a loan out from the bank because the credit card interest rate is 35%? One lady told me, about threw up. I was like, oh my word. Anyway, sorry, not to go off on that whole thing, but man, I see that often. It breaks my heart. And we just need to be smart about it. And again, screw your business hats or screw your business hat on, put your business hat on and go, okay, let's get solution minded. What do we need to do next?
Yeah, to that point, and we'll wrap it up with this. When I first sat down and got my financial plan from John, this was years ago. I cried. I didn't want showing him my money. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What do you have saved?" I'm like, $3,000.
Yeah.
And I was so embarrassed. And there's times that I had nothing saved, nothing.
Yeah.
And was down to my last $200-$300. I've been there, but as hard and as painful as it was to go through that and take a good hard, because I was an ignorer. I'm like, put my head in the sand. And then it would wake me up at 2:00 in the morning, stressed out, sick to my stomach, to the next day, ignore it again.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody ever been
Not
in
a
that
good way to
pattern?
live. No. Yeah.
And so when I got my financial plan, I'm like, I have to face it. I have to look at it. I have to say, this is what I've got to do. Right. And it, to your point, there was power in that.
Yeah.
It was no longer, am I a victim to what my money is doing? I am now the owner, the steward, honestly, is how we need to look at it. This is God's money. He's entrusted with us, and we are the stewards. And what does that mean? It means we tell that money what to do.
Yep.
And when we can have that mentality, that mind shift, it really is empowering. And listen, it's a work in progress. I teach this stuff and I still struggle with it sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I got kids in private school. I got one in college. I got, this comes up, that comes up. And you're like, that savings account that I'm not supposed to touch. Right. I get it. We've all been there. We all have things come up, but that's why it's so important to take control, to take ownership, control the controllables, so that when the uncontrollables come, you're not wiped out.
That's true.
So any final thoughts, Mindo?
No, it's a great conversation to have. And I think, again, anytime you bring these things to the light, it dissipates. And I know that, I'm sure, having to go through numbers with John and sharing some of that with him, it's scary. You're embarrassed. You feel like, all the things, but you can walk away from that with a plan and hope to go, you know what, if it takes me, however many months to tighten things up around here and really start focusing on, chipping away the debt or whatever that looks like for you. Like the first step is to take the first step, to get on a call and to connect with you guys on, what does this look like for me? And so that's just my encouragement. Stop waiting, stop pretending it's going to go away. Shove it back under the rug again, because there's a big old bump under there. You know what I mean? You're going to be tripping on that every day. So it doesn't go away. So sorry, until you really take a hold of it. And there is so much power in that. And that's my hope for everybody. If you're listening to this and you're in that situation, take the next step and just get it done. Rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys, if you're watching this and like, get the financial plan, like, let us help you create the plan. Our team is available. Work with your schedule. It's 2 Zoom calls. One where we figure out where you are and where you want to go. And second call is showing you where to go and how to get there.
Yeah.
And you get to take action on it or not, but at least get the plan. So drop the word money in the comments wherever you're watching if you want to get on the calendar with our team to get that done. But my heart and my passion is for, really the kingdom-minded entrepreneurs to be empowered by their money and not overwhelmed with it.
That's good.
So
Yep.
Appreciate you so much for being on
You're
and
welcome.
stepping in like totally last minute. You guys, I texted Mindy like 3 hours ago and said, hey,
You know what? It's kind of a surprise too, because I had a block in my schedule, which that doesn't happen very often. It was meant to be. It was meant to be. That's just how it is.
Absolutely. Well, I love it. I adore you. You're an amazing friend, and I'm so grateful that this industry brought you into my life. And just appreciate you.
Yeah, likewise, my friend. Take care and have a good rest of your day.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, friends.
Thanks for tuning in to Prosper in the Kingdom. If this episode added value to your day, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use the encouragement. For more resources, head to prosperinthekingdom.com. Let's continue building lives of purpose and abundance, one step at a time.